Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to Serenity and Sunnah, where we find peace and closeness to Allah, subhanahu wa ta'ala, through the teachings of the Prophet Muhammad, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Join us on this journey to take your first step to spread the light of Sunnah.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, my dear brothers and sisters. Have you ever wondered how, centuries ago, Muslims were able to precisely determine the prayer times, fast times during Ramadan, or even the Islamic months? In today's discussion, we are going to explore the fascinating role of the Muwaqqit, the timekeeper of Islamic civilization. The Muwaqqit, which comes from the Arabic word waqt, meaning time, was a skilled individual tasked with ensuring the community adhered to the exact times for daily prayers and other religious observances. Long before the invention of clocks and apps, it was the Muwaqqit who used their deep knowledge of astronomy, mathematics, and geography to determine the correct times for worship. Their contributions are a remarkable testament to the importance Islam places on the proper observance of time. While many mosques relied on the muezzin, who called the community to prayer using visual signs like shadow lengths and twilight, the Muwaqqit held a specialized role. His knowledge extended beyond tradition, delving into the science of the stars and celestial bodies. Some of the earliest known Muwaqqits worked in the prestigious mosques of places like Damascus and Cairo, as detailed in historical accounts. For instance, prominent scholars such as Ibn al-Shatir and Shams al-Din al-Khalili served as Muwaqqits in the famous Umayyad Mosque of Damascus, bringing together their expertise in both astronomy and religious duties. The role first emerged in the late 13th century, particularly in the Mamluk Sultanate, starting with the Mosque of Amr ibn al-As in Cairo. The Muwaqqit used instruments such as astrolabes, quadrants, and sundials to perform their duties. These tools were meticulously calibrated to track the movement of the sun and stars, ensuring that the community prayed at the correct times. For instance, the astrolabe, as described in al-Battani's Kitab al-Zij, allowed them to calculate the positions of stars to establish when each of the 5 daily prayers, Fajr, Duhr, Asr, Maghrib, and Isha, should take place. But the responsibilities of the Muwaqqit went beyond simply regulating prayer times. They were also charged with determining the sighting of the new moon, crucial for establishing the start of Ramadan, Eid, and the pilgrimage of Hajj. Their ability to synchronize religious observance with the movements of celestial bodies made them integral to Islamic life and religious practice. Their deep knowledge of astronomy wasn't just a religious necessity, it contributed greatly to the broader scientific advancements of the Islamic Golden Age. The Muwaqqits often wrote treatises on timekeeping and the use of astronomical instruments, playing a pivotal role in both the religious and scientific worlds. Notable scholars who served as Muwaqqits contributed to innovations in timekeeping methods that influenced future generations. The tools they used weren't just functional, they reflected the sophisticated scientific understanding of the era. Quadrants and sundials were meticulously designed to measure solar time and determine the Qibla, the direction of prayer toward Mecca. Their expertise in calculating the Qibla was essential for mosques across the Islamic world, ensuring that all prayers were correctly aligned with the sacred city. By the 14th and 15th centuries, the role of the Muwaqqit had become highly respected, especially in major mosques like the Umayyad Mosque of Damascus. It was here that some of the most famous Muwaqqits, including Ibn al-Shatir and Shams al-Din al-Khalili, made significant contributions to both timekeeping and Islamic astronomy. These figures weren't just religious timekeepers, they were at the forefront of Islamic scientific progress, designing astronomical instruments and developing new timekeeping methods that would influence generations to come. It's fascinating to think about how the Muwaqqit represents a fusion of faith and science. Their work was not only spiritual, but also a scientific endeavor that furthered Islamic scholarship in fields like astronomy and mathematics. While their primary function was to serve the religious community, they left an enduring legacy that influenced the study of time and navigation for centuries. Today, we rely on apps and clocks to remind us when to pray, but the spiritual significance of time in Islam remains as important as ever. The respect for punctuality, the importance of being mindful of the time of prayer, and our connection to the rhythms of the universe are all part of what the Muwaqqit sought to preserve. It's a reminder that time itself is a blessing from Allah, and how we use it reflects our devotion to Him. While the office of the Muwaqqit declined in the 19th century with advancements like clocks and modern prayer timetables, their legacy lives on. The systems they helped develop continue to influence modern methods of timekeeping and religious observance. Islamic prayer times are determined using precise astronomical data and specific calculation methodologies. Understanding these methods involves both traditional practices and modern scientific approaches. For example, the dawn prayer Fajr starts before the sun rises, at a time when the sky starts to light up. Traditional Islamic jurisprudence uses a twilight angle to determine Fajr. The most commonly used angles are 15 degrees, 18 degrees, and 20 degrees below the horizon. These angles represent the degree to which the sun must be below the horizon before the first light of dawn appears. This method is based on the hadith of the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, who described the time for Fajr as the period when the horizon begins to brighten. Dhuhr. The time for Dhuhr prayer begins just after the sun has passed its zenith, or highest point in the sky. This is the exact moment when the sun starts moving away from its peak. Dhuhr time is straightforward as it occurs when the shadow of an object is at its shortest. Asr. The timing of Asr prayer involves specific shadow measurements. The Hanafi school of thought uses a shadow ratio of 2.1, meaning that the time for Asr starts when the shadow of an object is twice its length. Other schools of thought, such as the Shafi'i, Maliki, and Hanbali, use a 1.1 ratio. The precise method depends on the Islamic jurisprudential school you follow. Maghrib. Maghrib prayer begins immediately at sunset. This is defined as the moment when the upper limb of the sun completely disappears below the horizon. The exact timing can vary slightly depending on atmospheric conditions and the observer's location. Isha. The Isha prayer starts when the twilight disappears and the sky turns completely dark. This is usually determined by the sun being around 15 degrees to 18 degrees below the horizon. This range is based on the duration of twilight, which can vary with geographic location and time of year. Traditional methods are rooted in the practices of the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, and have been preserved through Islamic jurisprudence. For instance, the Hanafi method for Asr prayer reflects a historical understanding that has been consistently applied over centuries. Traditional scholars have derived these methods from hadith and observations of celestial events. Modern methods employ mathematical models and astronomical algorithms. These methods use precise data about the Earth's rotation, axial tilt, and orbital position to calculate prayer times. While these methods are highly accurate, they may use standardized angles that differ from traditional practices. For example, some modern algorithms might use a 15-degree angle for Fajr and Isha universally, even though traditional practices vary. It's recommended to cross-check with local mosques or Islamic authorities. Now, with the ease of mobile apps and automatic clocks, it's easy to forget the complexity and care that went into ensuring accurate prayer times in the past. However, whenever we glance at our digital prayer apps like Islamic Finder, Muslim Pro, and My Prayer, it's worth reflecting on the Muwaqqit, the humble timekeeper who connected the community to Allah. May Allah bless us with the wisdom to manage our time in a way that pleases Him, and may we strive to follow the example of those who came before us in respecting this precious gift of time. Ameen. Jazakum Allahu khairan for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more fascinating insights into the rich and beautiful history of Islamic traditions.
If you found peace and wisdom in this message, remember to like, share, and subscribe to spread the light of Sunnah. May Allah reward you for your support. Jazakum Allahu khairan.